he's going to give us today on September 27th. There's 5 of us here. All right, go ahead, Austin.
Imagine you're sitting at dinner with your family, or playing a video game with your best friend, when your phone rings. It's the immediate evacuation order to leave your beloved home and go elsewhere while this horrendous fire is contained. As you gather your belongings and head to your car, you look up at the mountainside and see the inferno spreading down to consume your neighborhood. Then, you look up and see an aerial tanker as it lumbers past, flying so low and so slow that you think it's going to land. But it lets out a pink waterfall of fluid right in front of the fire. Oh, and here comes another! Saving your neighborhood and your amazing home. But you still have to leave. I've been an aerial firefighting mechanic for the past 6 months. I work on the aircraft known as a tanker. Many resources go into controlling these catastrophic events, and aerial firefighting aircraft are utilized to facilitate this. Many aircraft save lives, they save forests, and they save houses, and frankly, all over the world. The 3 tanker classifications that we use today are the SEATs, single engine air tanker. Next is the LAT, the large aerial tanker. And lastly, the VLAT, the very large air tanker. Today I'll be talking about the LAT aircraft, because that is the tanker that I work on. Before we touch on the tankers even more, there's 2 categories of aircraft I have to touch on, which is the water bombers and the helicopters, both of which can be manually filled on the ground, or they have to go to a local water source in order to refill their tanks. Helicopters can fight small to medium fires and have a bucket capacity of up to 600 to 1,000 depending on the helicopter, and are used for initial attack, or they can be used for fighting hotspots. Aerial bombers, on the other hand, also known as scoopers, are used for both of these as well as large fires because they have a tank capacity of 1,700 gallons of water and also have the capacity to inject a soap solution into the water tanks to help with fighting fires. Now, going back to the pink fluid that is coming from that tanker. That pink fluid is known as retardant. And it's basically a fertilizer that we drop along a certain length of ground in front of a fire to help control or redirect it. Not directly on the fire because it'll sizzle out and do basically nothing. The 2 categories we use are FX, which is made from a gum resin mixed with phosphorus and water. And then there's LC, which is made from clay, phosphorus, salt, water, and iron oxide dye. LC is being phased out because it is less environmentally friendly, it is less effective, and most importantly, it is much more difficult to get off our airplanes. Some states have gone away completely with the LC type retardant, and that is California and Montana, and some singular bases all around the United States. A fire needs 3 things to survive, which is fuel, oxygen, and heat. How retardant works is when the tanker drops it, it lands on the plants, the trees, or the vegetation, which is the fuel, and it separates that fuel by a barrier from the oxygen and the heat. This is a very effective way to control the amount of fires we have at the magnitude we're having them all over the world. Now, in order for these aircraft to fly, there are some operations that are involved. Let's start with the tanker bases. In North America, they're all over North America, mostly on the western half. Each state has 4 or 5 tanker bases. But some states, such as California, who has more fires annually, has about 15 tanker bases. Now, how these tanker bases operate is by some personnel. There's the ground crew, who help direct the aircraft. There's the retardant fillers, who fill the aircraft to the desired amount, and also they mix the retardant. Next is the jet fuelers, who fill the aircraft for jet fuel the necessary amount to do a drop. Next is the mechanics, who actually fix the aircraft so it's able to fly. Then the flight crew, who fly the aircraft on the fire. Then there's the tanker base manager, who's a liaison between the Forest Service and the aircraft themselves. And lastly, dispatch, who control traffic on the ground as well as in the air. Now comes the fun part, the flight. In flight, an aircraft is given a certain coordinate. When they get to that coordinate, they meet with a lead plane. That lead plane will take them on a circuit to get so that the tanker can have a lay of the land. Then on the second go around, the lead plane will start a smoke line and terminate it where they want the tanker to start and where they want it to end. All of this is happening around 200 feet off the ground, which, compared to an airliner, which is about cruise altitude of 25,000 to 30,000 feet off the ground. All this is to support the ground crew and to create fire lines so we can control these fires and save structures. Numerous resources and manpower go into fighting all these fires we have all around the world and protect us against destruction that could befall our livelihoods. So if you see one of these marvelous flying machines, then just think of all the individuals helping in this ongoing effort, and make sure you thank the people on the ground who are doing the hardest work of all and risking their lives to help with this effort. Any questions?